In Albab, rivals have come together to defeat a mutual threat. The town is the last Daesh stronghold in Aleppo province. And it's 30 kilometres south of Turkey's border. Turkish forces have been advancing on Albab for weeks. It's become the focal point of Turkey's Operation Euphrates Shield. The Turkish military and Free Syrian Army rebels have been advancing from the west. The Syrian regime and its supporters have been approaching from the south. And from the skies, strikes have been carried out by Turkey, Russia and the regime. The race to capture Albab has reached its most intense stage, with both the Turkish and Syrian sides closing in on Daesh, putting them at risk of facing each other on the battlefield. There's much to gain for the victor. It would expand Turkey's buffer zone with Daesh. For the Syrian regime, it would be another military success after retaking Aleppo. If Daesh is forced out, it would lose an important economic hub, which could then turn the focus of the Syrian conflict onto the group's self-declared capital, Raqqa. Albab is not going to be the end of Turkey's fight in Syria. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says it will be extended to the cities of Manbij, which is held by YPG militants, and Raqqa, Daesh's major stronghold, to ultimately create a safe zone.
Şu anda Amerika Birleşik Devletleri yeni yönetimiyle, CIA ile düşüncelerimizi paylaştık ve bundan sonra bu düşüncelerimizin de takipçisi olacağız. Hedef nedir? Hedef burada 4-5 bin kilometre karelik bir terörden arındırılmış güvenli bölgedir.
In a call between President Erdogan and US President Donald Trump, the leaders agreed to further discuss joint action to seize Raqqa. That fight will again involve a complex network of players on the battle lines, because the US is working with YPG forces, the Syrian arm of the PKK terror group, to surround Raqqa. But could the Albab offensive offer a new blueprint in the battle against Daesh? Natalie Pohanen, the Newsmakers.
Well, joining me now is Turkish affairs analyst Ahmed Alburai. He's a lecturer at Istanbul Aydın University. And from Moscow, Alexei Khlebnikov. He's a Middle East and foreign policy expert at the Russian International Affairs Council. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Ahmed, knocking out Daesh in Albab, it's close, and then moving on to a place like Raqqa. Is that reasonable, doable, a good idea, or might that suck Turkish soldiers into a possible quagmire?
That depends on the coalition and how far they're going to support the Turkish moves on the ground. The new administration in the United States, the Trump administration, they already proclaimed that they're fully supporting the Turkish moves on the ground. They're fully supporting them in their operation to push back and to defeat ISIS on the ground. Are they going to fully support them to move further to Raqqa? Because this is very important stronghold. But in order to reach that place, you have to finish Manbij, which is a very big stronghold, very important strategic place for the YPG and the Syrian Democratic Forces, most dominated by the YPG. Are the new coming administration is going to support the Turkish against the Kurdish militias on the ground or not? That depends on their support, and that based on that, we're going to see how things are going to progress on the ground.
Alexei, is what's happening in Albab a microcosm of a possible peace deal where you have different groups who don't quite like each other that much working together to get rid of the worst of the worst?
So basically, if we look at the previous rounds of Astana talks and the upcoming third Astana talks, the main aim is to work out an effective and efficient mechanism of monitoring ceasefire. So basically what Russia aims at is to establish this mechanism to prevent such incident, which happened recently when Russia basically intervened to prevent conflict between Syrian army forces and forces, rebel forces, which were supported by Turkish side. So undoubtedly, it's a very complicated issue, but I would like to comment on my colleague's comment about the further actions beyond Albab. I think it's too much premature to talk about further actions because I think neither United States nor Turkey have a full strategy in front of it.
Ahmed, what's going to happen in Geneva? We've just had Astana. I mean, you have Alexei saying it's a bit premature to talk about what comes after Albab if Albab hasn't been physically taken yet. What is going to happen in Geneva? Is that going to be another sort of talking shop?
Now, first, it's not premature because already the president himself, the Turkish president, said our ultimate end, our ultimate aim is to reach Raqqa, and we're going to cleanse all the region from the elements of Daesh or other terrorist groups. So he's going to go further with this, even without the support of the United States. But the support, Ibrahim Kalin, the spokesman of the presidency, he told the media days ago that they already have a complete strategy, and they already communicated this strategy to the Trump administration, and now they're in the negotiation process. Now, what happened at the time of the visit of the CIA chief to Turkey, 3 soldiers were killed at Albab by the Russian Air Force, and they claim that it was like undeliberate. But what we know, the Turkish army still, they also proclaimed that they already coordinated and gave their Russian counterparts all the coordinates, which is a very clear message and move that you cannot go on with any kind of coordination without involving us. So what's happening in Astana or in Geneva, the coming meetings, for your question, I believe that the new lists give you the answer. This delegation is completely different from the previous delegations, which seems that there is a kind of something brewing. We don't know what exactly the Russians are after.
Alexei, my final question to you. Do the Russians and the regime believe that they hold more cards now than they ever did in the past few years?
Definitely so. It's true, because you can see that the major victory of Assad regime, which it reached with the help of the Russian air forces, it's the liberation of Aleppo. And another evidence which proves that is the launch of the Astana talks format, which basically energized the political track, and it gives hope for certain stabilization and certain new mechanism, negotiation platform, which could bear some fruits in the near future.
Okay, gentlemen, unfortunately, there is never enough time. We'll be keeping a close eye on Albab and beyond, and of course the peace talks in Geneva. Alexei Khlebnikov and Ahmed Alburai, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.